I guess I've had a bit of an unusual career path. I got a lot of work experience when I was younger, working as a paralegal for a firm of solicitors in Manchester called GLP. And while I was working there, I built up a real strong knowledge of employment and commercial law, starting just by supporting reception and ending up as a fee earning paralegal. That meant that I'd had to drop down on my law degree from being a full-time to a part-time student. I then completed that, where I worked for a HR and employment law consultancy called Peninsula, and moved on to a law firm in Chester called Ellis Whittam. While I was there, I did my Chartered Institute of Legal Executives exams, and developed a bit more of an interest in the broader HR subject when I started to pick up some HR clients as well as some employment law clients. The opportunity then came about to join Unilever and go into work in HR for them and build my HR career. And the rest is history, really. And nowadays I'm looking again back at education. I think education never ends, and I've just started doing a master's in corporate governance to influence my ability to be a good board director potentially, and support other board members in knowing what their duties are and what good looks like. Well, being head of HR at Trac means being a truly well-rounded generalist. We don't have anyone above myself, so I have to think about everything that a business needs to have a good relationship with its people and to get the most out of its people. That means doing all of our annual planning all the way down to helping people out still with things like payroll queries or questions about the HR system. So it's a very broad role. Certainly means getting my sleeves up, but it's quite an exciting industry to be in. And it means I get to spend lots of time face to face with lots of lovely, smiley, happy people, whether it's my staff here or the people at Cheshire South and West. Yes, certainly. So we grind and machine industrial gas turbine engines and aerospace engines. We work for companies such as Rolls-Royce and Siemens. They would be two of our biggest customers. We produce engines for a variety of things, from fighter jets and military aircraft to some of the Airbus planes. And then on the industrial gas turbine side, that sector is growing. They're quite large engines, and there's a big push towards hydrogen and those engines running on hydrogen. So we hope to be part of the green future and be producing green technologies right here in Crewe. Well, I think there's an excitement in being a part of an industry which is still really strong here in Crewe. There is a lot of aerospace, rail, and to some degree grinding and machining in general right here in Crewe. I think for anyone who's been studying engineering, there are all sorts of engineering problems and issues that you can get your teeth stuck into, and you can help develop the engines of the future. And I think that'd be exciting. From a business perspective, factories and production businesses, they're really exciting, really dynamic, and everyone who's gone and studied any business skills, I think will find a perfect home for them, whether that's something like purchasing, or I think from an industry perspective, there's always a struggle to get people into the operational management areas. And I think anyone who's studied business should think about that. I think there's plenty of employees out there who'd love to have them and help them build an exciting career. I think the biggest challenge for us is probably the stabilization of the aerospace industry. The aerospace industry is now starting to recover from COVID, and order volumes are increasing, but it's a very complex supply chain. What most people probably don't know is that the makers of an aircraft such as Airbus will buy in all the different parts of the aircraft. They will make a lot of the body, the fuselage, the wings, but they will buy in things like everything from the seats to the engines to parts of the landing gear. So it's an extremely complex supply chain, sometimes with probably close to 50-60 suppliers all contributing to help get an aircraft built. And at the moment, everyone's reduced their staffing numbers and they've got a bit of a shortage of skills. So everyone's trying to grow back out, and things are late throughout supply chains really. So we can't always get our orders when we want them. But I think that obviously provides, again, a lot of exciting career opportunities for people looking to find their way and build a new career. I think within our plant, we've had some fantastic examples. So I'm going to use those to give examples of just where a career can grow, really. We have our current managing director, Liam Bevington, who was before that the head of quality. Before that was a program manager. Before that was in non-destructive testing. And before that started here in the plant after coming out of the Royal Marines and starting to build some engineering knowledge there. One of our engineering apprentices years and years back is our current head of operations, Aaron Dixon, who'd become a team leader to a shift manager to the production manager to the head of operations. We always tend to have opportunities in the purchasing and buying department. I think supply chain management in the UK is growing, so people with knowledge of purchasing and buying is always going to help people grow out a career. And of course you'll get the more traditional functions like a HR or a finance, where qualifications like AAT or CIPD can really help people to progress in those more standard industries. But even then, there's always opportunities to move around. I've been asked to do sales roles myself a few times during my career, which hasn't necessarily been my bag, but I think anyone who comes with passion, energy and effort, as well as building their educational background, will have a wealth of opportunities in front of them. One of our apprentices at Chester South and West was a gentleman called Matt Hayes, who worked his way up to engineering manager here in Crewe, and he now works in Chromalloy's plant, who are our former owners over in Holland. We've had people come in from graduate schemes that have ended up in Paris, have ended up in the USA, and certainly have gone people from this site here who've gone on to be considered for roles in the US when we were owned by Chromalloy as well in Florida. So there's lots of opportunities everywhere, really, and I think the production industry in particular has extremely transferable skills. I know a lot of younger people are looking, can they move abroad? And I think places like Australia, America and Canada are all after a lot of the skills that you can get working in the production industry in the UK. Yeah, I think one we talked about at the Employer Advisory Board, Helen, for all industries similar to ourselves, was electrical engineering students and people who've passed probably up to that level of HNCs in electrical engineering. There's probably a shortage for all employers of that, and general engineering skills, I think, are going to be more required in the future. Manufacturing is moving further and further into automation, but I guess the exciting bit for people who want to get into engineering is there's more programming, there's more code coming in. So all those exciting bits of the tech world are starting to come in as robots and alternative reality become ways of producing parts more cheaply and making British businesses more effective. So I think it'll become a more and more exciting industry as the next 5 to 10 years progress. So I guess we talked about real world examples before. I can think of one of our apprentices at the moment, did his BTEC at Chester South and West. He then did his HNC, HND, and we supported him through. He's moved career-wise, he's enjoyed the engineering department and moved into there, but he's actually just taken a bit of a sideways move at the moment, and he's becoming qualified in non-destructive testing level 2, which actually in an academic framework is a level 3 qualification called a level 2, which makes it complex. We've had people come in from business backgrounds who can go through their SIPS qualifications, people through MBAs, MSCs, Prince 2 and things like project management or agile project management, which is a little bit more modern now, CIPD like Amanda who works for me. So there are plenty of opportunities to support and grow people. I think modern businesses understand that they've got to invest in their people. I think if I think back to what our values are as a business, particularly doing the right thing, teamwork and pride and passion, I think those are things that every business is looking for. They want people to turn up on time, show energy, show enthusiasm, and just have a willing to learn and develop. I don't think any employer is expecting an apprentice to turn up and be the finished article. They should be expecting that you're an investment into the future of that business and you're there really to learn and to develop. And that's what we expect. We just need that good attitude to really help people progress.